Hey yo guys, how's it going? Tally here, and today on 100 Duels we have got Salamangreats. Now the fun here is that I have never played them before, so you'll get to see me be a total scrub. Anyway, socials are on screen, please like the video, share it and join Team Tally by hitting that subscribe button, and as always comment hashtag for the algorithm. Now let's dive in. Game 1, and this is my very first ever game with Salamangreat, and I think it shows. But the good thing is it's all about the learning process, right? I think in my opening play I was okay, but my draws off the desires could not be worse if I tried. And then after that I had nothing much more and just scooped. In game number 2 I really should have activated Gozen in response to Dante, but I really wasn't thinking much. You see, I don't think much in general, and this game really showed my inexperience with the deck. I didn't read Heat Leo properly, or Sunlight Wolf, and honestly if I did I really should have been able to win this game easily, but this is to be expected. I think I'll have a pretty weird win-loss up until I start to get the hang of the deck. In game number 3 we're up against Plunder Patrol, and I still really had no idea what the right line of play was here. Should I have desires to bait the Ash? If so, either way I was banishing Gazelle, which really sucked, but I managed to make this work somehow. They had answers to pretty much everything, but thank God for Splash Mage, letting me climb into Access Code Talker to do some damage, and having that effect Veiler was pretty clutch, so overall I could have done better, but I'm not too worried. I've still got 97 games to go. Game 4 we're going up against Machina, and I really feel like I should have lost this one. Like, they hit the normal summon, I had no extenders, but then they went into Hope Harbinger and that gave me some breathing room. On my turn I managed to combo a bit, and I thought I messed up when I absent-mindedly activated Update Jammer on the Transcode summon, but then I went into Access Code and it turns out Update Jammer isn't once per turn. Then Access Code Talker goes brrrr and I win. In game 5, same as game 4, I tried doing what I thought were some pretty smart plays in anticipation of Nibiru, and right now all I really know how to do is run head first into a wall, and went into Access Code thinking, if he had it then he's got it. And he didn't have it. Access Code Talker is the best Salamangreat monster. Game 6 and we're up against Mech Crusadia, and you know what, I really do feel like I'm starting to get the hang of this. I mean, they did hit me with Nibiru, and that kinda sucked, but I was still able to play through it and end on some interrupts and my own rock in hand, and I felt pretty good. They summon a Mech Knight, columns Tally, come on now, and then they go into Needle Fiber with Crusadia Arborea, and I was not having that. Then they still had some extenders, but I hit them with my rock. Then Nibiru counter this one, and then I popped off a little more, and then on my turn, they scoop. Game number 7 we're up against Gagaga, they literally just summoned a monster and hit the scoop button and left. Okay then, we'll take that. Game 8 felt really weird going up against heroes. It's like fighting a family member that you really care about, and they opened the absolute nuts and I was not having any of that at all. You really do hate to see it, but at least I lost to the better deck, you know? In game number 9 we're still against heroes, and I had an answer to everything they had and kept the game state real simple. This one ended in my favour and I felt pretty confident going into game 3 of this one. I went overconfident into game 10 and expecting to go first and thought they would try and OTK me. Sadly that was not the case and they went first, and I expected them to link into one of the links. I was also wrong about that. I thought I would draw a decent card that would get me going since they didn't have many interrupts, and I was wrong about that one as well. Overall I've learned that I should continue to not think, find a brainless combo deck to play, or even worse, Altergeist. Okay, so we're into a new hero match on game 11, and this is how it should go versus heroes. Keep a lot of control, play with the tempo, and it turns out Edo Pro has a weird thing about relinking more than once per turn, which is awful, I really do hate that. But I'll be honest, that lucky Rage Rip really helped the Dark Law, and from there I pretty much had the game under my control, and when I went to go for the kill, they scooped. Is this what it feels like? Is this what I've been doing to people? Oh my god, this is awful! I'm sorry to everyone I've ever Darklawed. In game 13 I was pretty bummed that they had a hand trap for literally everything, but I had Imperial Order, and on their turn they scooped to Order, and with that hand I can really understand why. Okay, so quick aside, at this point I'd realised I really needed to change up the side deck, which led me to adjusting the main deck too. Really, I just net decked Gabriel Susi's list, but I think if there's any list to learn the deck, it would be his. In game number 14 we're up against Zodiac, and honestly I thought my hand at first was kinda poo-poo. I thought it would die to almost any interruption, but somehow I managed to make it work and get the combo off. Unfortunately, they hit Sanctuary, but I had enough extenders to properly set up a board, and on their turn, they leave because I've just got too much advantage on them and too many points of interaction. In game number 15 we're up against my lifelong nemesis, Dinos. And gee gosh, I really hope he doesn't have the misc. Of course he has the misc. Dinos can pop off like no one's business, and this guy popped off. I really had no idea what to hit. I didn't think Nibiru would really do anything, so I took the bus to Scoop Town. Game number 16, and again I've just got no idea what to do. Probably should have saved the counter trap, and I was confident I could have survived until he dropped the second ultimate conductor Tyranno. Not super happy with that game, but again it's all part of the learning process. Game number 17, we're up against zombies again. I had a weird ass hand and I'm not sure I could have played it better, but I did my best and it turned out to be just another needle fibre deck. And I really should have ended on the Balinx and Dweller, but it's okay, I know now, and no one's half the battle. In game 18 we were up against Dinos again, and I played horribly. Wow, big shock. But I was confident because I had the answer to pretty much everything they had, and I played the resource game well enough. Turns out Rage is a pretty good card, and I'll remember this going forward. Also, why didn't I chain Dweller to the Impermanence? Game 19 we're up against Salamangreats, and I was really dreading facing the mirror match. I just don't have enough experience to reliably make all the right plays. So I tried not to get too far ahead of myself and play it real slow, with little pluses here and there, and I tried doing the Salamangreat thing of trying to recur over time and gain more advantage, which I think I did alright. I really don't know if Gozen would have helped at any point, but I feel like my gut says no, and honestly I think we both sucked at the deck, but I just got luckier with Desires, and I will not say no to that. Okay, so in game 20 I think I made 90% good plays, but some of those misplays were huge. Like going into Access Code Talker was 100% the right choice to cut them out of interactions, but then putting it in that zone really screwed me. I got saved because I got lucky again, and I can't ever turn down good luck. In game 21 we're up against Mayakashi, and honestly going up against Mayakashi is like going on a date with me. At the end, you're just left thinking, is that it? So I just started taking over the game from there, and honestly having Gozen match pretty much guaranteed a win, so I was feeling pretty good. In game 22 I get really good draws off of Desires. Pretty much we can't lose from here. They scoop to Gozen match, it goes as expected. Let's move on. Game number 23 we're up against Salamangreats, and I'm still not mentally ready for the mirror match. And honestly, Parallel Exceed is such a must negate card that it borders on annoying for me, and they had the order, which you can probably see being a pain, but I'm pretty happy with the lines of play that I took to systematically dismantle their board with my boy Access Code Talker, and then on their turn, they quit because I had the negate card. In game 24 we're up against Synchro Cyber Dragons. I hit their Needle Fibre with a hand trap, and I think that must have done more than I expected it to, because once they went into Auroradon they scooped, which I'm totally fine with. We do not say no to free wins. In game 25 I thought I was smart by hitting the 0-0 free. That was not smart. I should have saved it for the Needle Fibre again, but I'm not sure how much it would have done. I think they had extenders, so I just decided I didn't want to play that when they ended on VFD. Game 26 was much more to my favour. I controlled the tempo and pace as much as I could, and in the end I just had more resources than my opponent could play through, and that summon limit was nothing but clutch. In game number 27 we were up against Generic Stunned, and they hit me with some key cards and they really hurt, so I just decided to go to game 2. I thought it was Trickstar, but turns out I was wrong after siding, but the cards still helped a bit. Game 28 was by far one of the most annoying games I've ever played in my life, and honestly I thought it was like goddamn Groundhog Day, and I was so annoyed that I went to battle phase without switching Gazelle to attack, which would have won, but that meant I had another turn of this bull. I won and refused to play a game 3 because feck that deck. Game 29 we're up against Madolche, and after the last 100 duels we know that I don't really know how to beat this deck, so I'm just gonna wing it. Anyway, I hit the rank 5 and that seemed to stop them, and then I did the thing, summoned Access Code Talker. He's a good boy, and then we win. Game 30 was almost exactly beat for beat the same as the last duel, which makes me think I should hit that rank 5 more often, but the idea of Madolche being a going first deck has now really thrown me. Anyway, there was a bit more back and forth this time, so it took a little longer, but it ended the same way. I showed them my Access Code Talker and they left me on red. We're up against Cyber Dragons in game 31, and you know what would really suck? If I did that fun little combo with a few points of interaction and they had evenly. Alright, okay, I'm gonna negate that. Oh god, they have the other one. Okay, somehow I managed to make it, and as usual, Access Code Talker does the dirty deed dirt cheap. Game 32, and you know it's really bad for them when they scoop to an Ash. We'll take that one though. Going into game 33, all I have to say is pay attention to the Imperm zone. If they didn't anyway, I had the Ash, so we pretty much had this one in the bag. Game 34, we're back against Mayakashi. This was, if I'm honest, possibly one of the most uneventful things ever. We're going to move swiftly on. In Game 35 we were up against Machina Orchist, and I'll be real, I didn't have much. Like, I had no resource loop, not a huge amount of follow-up plays, but I guess they really needed that plus off of Phantasme, and I'm honestly not sure why they scooped, but you know what we think about free wins in this household. Game 36, and I have opened the 1-2 Orchist knockout combo, Dweller and the Rock. They have a decent hand as well, and probably could have killed me, but a well-timed meteor was awfully satisfying. They scooped as soon as I started to combo, and again I'll be real, I don't think I had much follow-up plays if they popped off in their turn, but again, we'll take that easy win. In game number 37 we were up against Sky Striker, and I had the good stuff, even though they had 2 hand traps that actually honestly could have hurt me. They didn't play them, but regardless, that win was ours, and we had an out to everything they could have hit us with anyway, so that was an easy victory, hand traps or not. So now we're in game 38, and again I just have to say, Sky Striker player, please use your hand traps. You could have slowed me down, I mean feel free to not use them on me, because it's an easy win, but learn to use them in general. Anyway, this one wasn't a difficult win, I just had too much advantage for them to stop me. At least I had fun. We're in game 39 and ooh, what's this? Oh, it's only for hire. Okay, negate the normal summon and they die. Like, there's literally nothing to this deck at all. Still up against for hire in game 40, and by the way, Baguska is a total first turn kill to this deck. Literally no effort involved. Okay, so I've decided to change the deck up again just a little bit to incorporate some of the anti-Nibiru techs like Rafflesia. So let's see how this works out. Game 41, we're up against Rika, and by the way, Rika are a kinda cool idea for a deck. They didn't put up too much resistance, and honestly my favourite part of this duel was talking to my opponent, which by the way, let me tell you, I could count on one hand how many times I've ever felt that. I learned a thing in game 42, Lone Fire Blossom can beat Goes in match. It wasn't really an issue, because in the end I ended up pulling out Access Code Talker and he saved the day. I'm starting to get the feeling that this is a pretty good card. We're up against Altergeist in game 43, and realistically they needed this metaverse to pop off. Thankfully, I had the Ash, they didn't have anything else, and they went to game 2. Game 44 actually ended up being a decent back and forth with a lot of interactive gameplay. It was really fun. Kidding on, Goes in match made him scoop. This card's really fun. Game 45, it's pretty simple. I go up against dinos, don't really know what to do. I probably should just go first more often and I would probably win, but I lost this one. After drawing Desires off of Desires, again by the way, they took the bait and I halted all their plays with my favourite hand traps and real traps. I'm glad that happened. I think this deck has definitely been the one I struggle with the most so far. They have huge beaters and they don't really let me play the slow game, which I think is kinda rude. In game 47 we're back against Salamangreats, and I had the absolute nuts, but for some reason I wasn't able to Gozen in the standby phase, which would have been an easy win, but in the end I messed up and had to scoop. He was the better player. In game 48 though, I deliberately decided to go second and they bricked. Good success. I didn't open up amazing either, but I did have an answer to pretty much everything they had. I'll be real, I'm pretty proud of how I played game 49. I managed to get past both traps and Ash and choke them out of as many resources as possible, with enough pressure on that we were both gambling on their top deck. If they drew any Salamangreat, they'd probably take the game, but I was certain I had this in the bag, and luck happened to be on my side. I learned a thing in game 50, I learned that Baguska screws Altergeist. By the time they used Imperm it really was too late, and to be honest they could have used it sooner, and I'd kinda been screwed, but I'm glad they didn't, because when they tried to pop off, they had nothing and rage quit. Sorry Altergeist players, but nothing makes me happier than beating you. In game 51 we're up against another Altergeist player and we managed to have a really good back and forth. Goes in match saved me again and I got an okay Desires on the next turn into yet another Desires. And in the end I just had the most momentum and they scooped. Game 52 might be the closest game I've ever had so far. I had no engine cards for a while but had a lot of answers to their cards, and as usual Goes in match was pretty clutch. I managed to survive long enough to start to get some momentum, and in the process though I desired myself down to 2 cards. Then Gazelle sent the will, and this gave me one more turn to win. So I decided I really needed to push and win this turn if I play smart. So I managed to get into Splash Mage and they negated that, but Sunlight Wolf got me that clutch will earlier on, and I started to climb into Transcode, ready to pop their board of access, but they scooped. I'm pretty proud of this one. In game 53 my opponent scooped nice and early because they knew it was a match and wanted their side deck. Game 54 was another one of those games where I had to draw into an engine card and I didn't. Eventually they got 4 darks on field and their access code talker ended the game. Okay, so the game file for 55 actually got corrupted in this replay, but by this point a perfected drawn goes in match, that let me get some resources on them and it was a relatively quick uneventful win. In game 56 we're finally against something that's not Altergeist, we're against Dark Synchro, and dropping this Nibiru was incredibly satisfying. Game 57 we're up against Shaddolls. I don't really know what to do here, not really happy with the performance, that's probably because I lost. Honestly, game 58 was much the same. I sided in 12 hand traps, I saw none of them, I lost again. Game number 59's against Salamangreats, and this is one I really do think I could have done better. I didn't need to save Sanctuary with the negate since I had Balinks engraved. If I had saved the trap for later, I probably would have won this one easily. In this game I had so much and they had no interrupts. On my turn I very embarrassingly forgot about my own summon limit and sat for longer than I would like to admit, wondering why I couldn't summon. However, in the end I did win the advantage game and they scooped. In game 61 we opened fairly comparable hands and I felt like I could clear his board and reset him to 0. Turns out Prohibit Snake exists and I'm the one that suffered there. Next turn, Invaler is the best girl of the day, and that rage on the 0 Boros felt great. They definitely made the mistake where they summoned to my Sunlight Zone, and then I got rid of the board and they had nothing. All I have to say about game 62 is f*** Necro Valley. Game 63, and honestly, continue to f*** Necro Valley. At least I won this one though. Game 64 we're up against Dinos again, and an early goes in match was a nuisance to them. Yeah, the token was a bit of a pain on my side, but we both knew that this token was all that was holding me back. So of course, my dino-brained opponent doesn't want to destroy it, and when I make a push, which was too early I think, my sheer confidence and big dick energy scared them into scooping. Game 65, we were up against Toons. This game was pretty uneventful, I had answers to their cards, and when I popped their floodgate they scooped. I had it all in game 66, and then they kaiju'd me, and I drew the only card I didn't want to see. Nice and easy loss. Again in game 67, goes in match was pretty effective here. Slowed this Crusadia deck down until I could win. For some odd reason I thought that Unizombie was a fire, so I goes and don't ask me why, but their Imperm on my Gazelle was great, and since I actually negated my own goes in match, I could combo freely in OTK. Game 69 we're up against Necros. I negated a lot of what they had and they scooped. A very easy win. Game 70 was against Blue Eyes, and again a very one-sided match to me. This one was super quick. Game 71 was against Mermail. They had everything, I had nothing. They got the hand loop going, and I scooped. In game 72 we were up against Mystic Mine, and honestly, just Mystic Mine. In game 73 we are against Heroes again, and honestly I know this deck so well that if I've got any sort of interruption I can usually stop it in its tracks. Obviously I don't always win, but in this game I definitely won. Game 74 is one of those games that I lost though. They hit me with an early Dark Law and I know that this kills the deck, so moving on. Game 75 I went first and I had everything. I had interruptions, I had floodgates, and I also had made a huge misplay by accidentally shuffling Gazelle back into the deck with Jaguar, so that definitely sucked, but they couldn't hope to beat me. Next turn I pop off and I take the W. In game 76, I'm gonna be honest, I was suffering from real Altergeist fatigue by this point, so I just scooped and noped myself right out of there real quick. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Game 77, they seen that I started to combo off and immediately said game 2 in chat. Game 78 was pretty much exactly the same as game 77, which is fine for me. We're up against Lair of Darkness in game 79, and not only Lair of Darkness, but Lair of Darkness piloted by a member of Team Tally. This one was genuinely pretty tricky, and they played pretty well. In the end though, I had the resource loop going, and I took the win. Same again in game 80, this wasn't an easy game, but I started with a great hand and got into the resource loop again, and eventually my boy Access Code Talker did the work for me. Game 81 has us going up against Harpy, and goes in match was great as to be expected. Their Fire Ant engine locked them out of their Harpies and gave me a chance to get resources. but they scooped before it could get too crazy. Game 82, again up against Harpy still, and I had a great hand that ended on 4 interrupts. Sadly, Harpies just can't handle this sort of heat. Is it too late to make fire jokes? I feel like I should have made more fire jokes by now. In Game 83, we are fighting Mech Orchist, and honestly this game wasn't too bad. I'm not sure why I didn't use Will of the Salamangreats or Rafflesia, but I paid the price for it anyway. I somehow managed to live through their turn, and on my own I started to combo off, but I forgot I couldn't OTK. But at least I was winning in sheer number of good cards. The Gozen did hurt on their turn since their only extenders were light, but I lost my good boy access code talker in the process. I think they messed up their combo because they scooped after Galatea. Game 84, and this time I did Rafflesia, but they tried to hit Gazelle in the graveyard, and I couldn't have that, so if they did hit me with the rock, I probably was screwed, but they didn't! They seen the end coming on my next turn when I started to combo off, and they scooped, nice and easy. Game 85, we're up against Super Heavy Samurai, and I've got no idea what these thick boys do. I was literally just clicking buttons this game and hoping for the best, and it did, it worked out. In Game 86, I'm noticing that I'm still rather impatient with my plays. I'm trying to rush into OTKs that I know I can't complete. I really need to be more careful with the resources. I could have ended on something with much more interaction if I just played simple and build momentum. Still won though. In Game 87, we're up against Tenye. I start to pop off and they scoop since their board is begging to be broken and OTK'd. In Game 88, their only play was Gizmek Uka, not even a water barrier to follow it up. This was just too easy. Game 89, and there's a shark in the water. They do slow us down a little with the treacherous and the judgment, but we get the resource loop going anyway and we just have too much for them. We are here in Game 90, and it looks like Game 90's done already. In Game 91 we're up against zombies again, and I really do hate this matchup. Zombie World and Super Poly both hurt a lot. This one really doesn't go very well, and I decide just to go to scooped phase so that we can get that side deck in play. In Game 92 it must have felt real nice to open Storm and Evenly, but I have weird robot animals on my side and a lucky rip of Circle gets some momentum. They try and break the board again, but I have the look going and too much advantage. They scoop. In Game 93 they try the same play that didn't work in Game 92 with the same result. They can't pop my monster and they scoop. In Game 94 I bet our dino brained opponent felt good opening up to my Seleniusaurus, but it feels even better to open up 3 negates. That's right dino boy, scoop it up. Now in Game 95 we're up against Cubics. This deck's pretty weird, it doesn't really do anything going first, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. At least they managed to live through my OTK attempt. Didn't really last long though, I killed them on the next turn. Game 96 I stop all of their plays with my nice traps and they scoop. That's fine, I was gonna win anyway. Game 97 is against another different Cubic player, and I've learned that this deck just will not die. They just keep hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, but much like this video, this duel has to come to an end at some point, and it's gonna come to an end pretty soon. In Game 98, I cannot lie, my hand was pretty amazing, there's no way around that, especially against Toon, where they can't really play through multiple interruptions, and we see that in action here. I've just got too many interrupts, and they scoop. I don't think my opponent really fought through their plays in Game 99, essentially locking themselves out of their own plays, and all it did was let me gain advantage and win. And here we have it, Game 100. I won't lie, this one's tough if I was pretty honest. We're up against Eldritch here, and there was a lot of back and forth, and mentally I felt on the back foot until about turn 5, which doesn't sound long, but in real life time it was way longer than it looks. Literally, everything fell into place in turn 5 though, and I finally felt like I got Salamangreats, and I just survived, made little gains and trades here and there, and then BAM! Big explosive push, and oh my goodness was this explosive, managing to get around all of their cards over a few turns, access code talker, and leave them with nothing and take the game. So guys, that is the video. I actually do think I learned a lot about Salamangreats and I've got a bit of a newfound respect for the deck. Definitely had a learning curve, so look forward to a video coming soon about what I learned. Anyway guys, if you liked the video, give it a like. If you love it, give it a share and tell everyone you know about TCGTally today. If you do want to support the channel, make sure to comment hashtag for the algorithm as well. As always guys, my socials are on screen. You have been amazing. I have been Tally. I'll catch you all later. Bye.